Hi guys, it's Weedit. I'm working in the Spectrum Noir Colorista, and it's a marker pad, but I don't have any markers over here, and I wanted to try colored pencil. And the first thing that I notice in working with this is that the paper is very smooth. Doesn't have a lot of tooth, so I know that I'm going to have to be careful, or I'm going to saturate the paper a little too quickly with colored pencil before I get much of my shading done. So that's going to be, and it is a bit of a challenge. Now, these are not actually the colors that I had thought I was going to use, but this is what I'm ending up using. And I thought I'd just do a couple petals and maybe a leaf so that you could see some of the process of going through and trying to get some shading, not a whole lot. And I'm not worrying about light sources or anything else. I just want some variation in my petals, like dark down here and lighter here, and how I get them all blended out. Now, I'm not using any kind of medium to blend. There are different things that you can use to actually blend color pencils, Gamsol baby oil being two, but I'm not doing anything like that. I'm not getting that fancy, and I'm using rather inexpensive, let's see if I can get this to focus, there we go, Raphine pencils, and I'm going to zoom out. You can see I got this much. I don't remember how many pencils it is, and there's a couple more over here that I'm using for, I want to say $19, $20 maybe on Amazon. And the one thing that I can say is that these pencils feel and work a lot more like oil-based pencils than they do wax-based. Wax-based would be your Crayolas, your Prismacolors, Derwent, oil-based, Faber-Castell, Polychromos, Lyra, which are, those are much more expensive, and these were very, very inexpensive. So that to me is interesting, that these do feel a whole lot more like oil-based, and that's just, it's a smoother kind of application. And I'm going in, this particular petal is behind, so, and I should have probably made this one a little bit darker. I don't know if I can go in and do that. And with color pencils, it's really all about layering. You just go in and you put in light layers and light shading. And then there's some tricks that kind of help with the coloring. But this one I want to darken a little bit now that I look at it, and it is behind the other one. But I've pretty well saturated the paper with the color pencil, so it's not going to take too much more. It doesn't have, again, much tooth, but I'm probably going to try quite a few different mediums as I work through this pad, but the first one I wanted really was color paper. Now that I have that, I'm going to come in with, it's a slightly lighter color, but it's still not terribly light. And I'm going to go back over and sort of blend the colors in. And my goal is to work up to that tip and to darken it, but I want it to be, and this petal has already got several layers on it. And okay, there. So now it is a little bit It is a little bit darker, which it should be, because it's behind. And I was really working on this one, and I want it lighter. So this is kind of what I'm using as my blender. Okay, most color pencil sets come with a blender. I don't actually use a blender pencil that much. Instead, I pick a lighter color to kind of go in, and you can see it's intensifying that color a little bit. And I'm going in, I'm going over the entire petal, and that's sort of blending those colors together. Midgie, Midgie, quick baby. I don't know how many dogs up here right now. One's at my feet, 2 are on the bed. And again, I'm going over the whole thing with this lighter color, just sort of blending it all in and focusing on that tip. Okay. Now this petal is beneath, so I'm going to come in, and I'm really going to try to get that one a fair bit darker. This petal's only got one layer on it, so you'll see me go through the whole process with it. And again, I'm not going to film me doing this entire page, but I thought it might be nice to do a little bit showing some blending. And I'm not pressing very hard because I want to come back in with layers. And that's really just the key. I am sort of leaving that tip fairly light. Okay, and I'm coming back a little more. Another layer down here. A little bit more. And I'm not pressing hard at all. You can kind of tell by the fact that it's taking a while to build up the color. I'm not pressing hard. It's all about the layers. Now this pencil is, as you can tell, this is a lot, come on focus, darker than what I was using, which is the red. And it's actually a brown based red, and you can see as I gently just sort of color, I'm getting a nice, it's getting darker than this side, but I am reaching the saturation limit for this paper, and I can tell that because I'm not getting a whole lot of color changes. So just darkening. Coming in with layers. And I found that, you know, it is nice to work with if you're doing an art piece or something. Sure, you want the really fine pencils that have been tested for light fastness and everything else. That's important. But for something like this, I have found that just inexpensive pencils are great. In fact, one of the things that I keep, a set that I always keep around, in fact, I keep several sets around in different places, and that's just Crayola. Crayola pencils are great, and they're not expensive. And I won't name any brands, but I actually prefer working with Crayolas over some of my more expensive pencils. So my Crayolas get a workout. Okay, now I've gotten that one quite a good bit darker, but now I'm going to come in and I want that tip kind of light. And here we go. I'm using this really light color. Okay, that's the one I'm using. And I'm coming in and blending it in. And just notice I'm coloring in the direction of the petal, which is this way, and I'm not coming in this way. Always color in the direction of whatever it is you're coloring, and that gives it a more cohesive, linear look. Linear not meaning necessarily lines. And see, I like this petal a whole lot more than I do this one. This one I'm still not happy with, but I don't think there's much more I can do to it. Okay. And we might work a little bit, and this really is sort of how I play. I just keep going back and forth and working the petals. I'm going to try to darken that a little bit. Midgie. Midgie, baby. Midgie. Midgie. Midgie, quit. Okay. All right, here we go. Let's do a little bit of this color. This is sort of a medium red. When I pick out, let's say when I was looking to the colors for the petals, I picked out basically tried to get 3 reddish and ended up with more orangey, which was totally unexpected. It just happened that way. Even though I tested the pencils out, the colors that I ended up liking to work with. Okay, see, that's getting me a little bit more contrast in that petal, lighter up here, darker down here. I like that. But I pick out 3 colors, and light, medium, dark, and that's what I work with. And then I pick out the blender, whatever lighter color I'm going to use to smooth out the transition between colors. And you really don't have to even, I like using a lighter color to kind of blend with, but if you can tell from the way I'm coloring, I'm getting great blending even when I'm not doing that. So, and this one does not look as finished as the others. So again, I'm going with my medium, and I think I'm going to come in. I don't know if I can get any more color in. It may be too saturated. It looks like it. I really did mean to just do one, but it's like as I work on one petal, I go back and I think, oh, I need to do a little more on this one. And okay, and go in. A little more blending. Okay. Yeah. Still not thrilled. just not thrilled. This is my medium, and I don't think there's, if the medium won't do it, well, that's actually my light red, no wonder. This is my medium red. And yeah, okay, here we go. We're getting a little bit, but I've just pretty much, there's no more tooth on the paper, so it's not gripping the color. But I'm trying. I'm hoping some miracle. Yeah, we'll leave that one alone. Okay, now this one. This one just has a light lay-in, and I think I may have actually used a fourth color. I think I may have used this one to go in. I did. And so this is my very lightest actual color. So that's what I did. And then these two are the ones that I thought I was going to be using, but I ended up using, you can get these two. Okay, so there's a fairly big difference. If you look at my colors, there's a fairly big difference in them. And then of course there's the blender. Now I'm going to come back with my, and I keep them separated, or I try to keep those over there. Okay, this is my medium color, and I'm going to come in and just sort of carefully color. And intensify. Now you know I'm going to of course come in with a darker color down there, so this is the area that I sort of want to focus on. I want this to be pretty light. And I do move my paper around. Okay, so still light. I really didn't touch up here. Okay, and I came in with this, quote, my medium red, and now I'm going to come in with this sort of brownie color. And I'm not getting much color here. Again, this paper's not meant to be, it's meant for my alcohol markers. What did I expect? But I'm going to try alcohol markers, pencil, watercolor markers. I may try watercolor. I don't know how well this paper's going to do with that. I just sort of want to experiment. And then eventually I want to, like, say, cut this flower out, maybe with some of the leaves, and use it in collage. So here I go. Coloring. I want to use the lighter now to see how I'm going to, and this is my lightest, this is my blender, it's that one. Try to intensify this top area, blend it in a little bit, blend that darker in with it. I think that needs a little bit of color up here, if I can get it in. Yeah, it's still taking a little color. There we go. I like that. I do. Intensifying that. I wonder if that would help me like this one better. I wonder if that'll even work. Get that a really orangey tip. I guess this is what I meant by layering, and this is kind of how I do faces too. You just keep going back and forth until you get the look that you want. The one thing that will happen is that you end up saturating the paper with color and with the medium, with the wax medium of the pencil, and you can't get any more in. But do a little more over here. Let's get this one a little stronger orangey tip. And this is what I meant by the layers. Okay, that's really what does it with the colored pencil. Seldom do I color and just make one pass. I keep going back. And just sort of blending in. And I'm using the darkest color. I'm sorry, I should have told you that. I'm using my darkest color over here just to enhance. And for some reason I can't stop fiddling with all of the petals. Okay. Come in again, make another pass with this darkest color. So you don't need expensive materials to get a really pretty look. And if you've got access to a printer and the internet, they have coloring pages out there that you can download and color. So you don't even have to buy, if you just want to color, you don't have to spend a whole lot of money getting one of the coloring books. Now, this is coming from a person who has quite a few coloring books. But I've also used those downloaded pages. And I'm going to color just a little bit around here with the dark color. Okay. And back down here with the dark. So it really is all about layering and just coming in. I think this is my medium. Okay. I'm going to come in right here with the medium and I am blending down into the darker, but I'm not really blending up into the lighter too much. And oh, no, I may be in the shadows, where my hand is. And I think I want this orange up here. This is my lightest, but not my blender. And I'm going to take this and blend down. Okay, and then I'm going to try to blend it all together with this. This is my little blender pencil. And I don't know that I really need it on this one. Okay, so that's how you get some depth with your color pencils. And again, does not need to be, you do not need expensive supplies. Now I'm going to do a leaf. And I picked out 4 greens, so I have a sheet of paper, and I'm just going to see what they look like. And I do need to get rid of these colors I'm not using, get them out of my way. So there's a dark, that's one, slide it over, I keep them in order. Okay, that's more like what I'm after. Since I use that funky orange, that's a little bit darker one in that olive tone. And that's a little bit lighter. I'll use those 3. And I will use, I'm trying to think if I'm going to use the same blender or not, and I don't think I am. I think I'm going to go with that sort of ochre color. Get the colors I'm not using out of the way. Okay. Now, I don't know if I'm going to use that bluish green color. Let's just see what happens. Pick this leaf, and I'm going to very lightly color the whole leaf. And you can tell this is very light. I'm not going for full coverage. I'm just trying to get the first layer of color down. Okay. Now, since I'm really only using 3 colors, including my blender, I'm going to go ahead before my paper gets saturated, and this is that, it's got to be yellow ochre, that's exactly what it looks like. And I'm going to put this in the tip. And again, I'm doing this very lightly, even though it's coming through fairly strong, because I want that tip to be light. And I'm not pressing. I'm just putting that in. And working it down a little bit. And now I'm going to come up to the tip of the leaf and do a little more. And now I'm going to come back with, oh goodness, there we go, the lighter, my medium color, which is my lighter green, and I'm putting another layer in. And you see this time it's getting a little more intense. but I'm still not going for full coverage. And I'm coming up into that yellow, that tip of the leaf, because I don't want the leaf necessarily yellow. I don't want it to look like it's dying. And it's just another layer of color. And right now I'm trying to smooth it out. But again, I'm not really pressing. And that's just it. I don't really press. I let the color pencil do the work. Okay, coming in with the darker color. I'm coming down here. And again, I'm just trying to get some depth down here below. And I'm going to focus not only at the base of the leaf, because that's where it would be darker. In my mind, where this has actually no light source, and I fought with that when I started coloring out. I kept going, okay, where's my light source? And then I'm like, forget light source, just because it's going to be part of a collage. I don't want to get hung up on the light source. So I'm coming in, but I do want this bottom half of the leaf also to be a little bit darker. And I'm even coming up into that tip. So just coloring that bottom half. And I'm not really getting as dark as I want it. Even though I keep going over it, it's not giving me that dark that I want. But I don't know yet, so let me come back in. This is my medium. And let's try some blending. Blend into that dark. Blend up into the yellow ochre. Yeah, this dark isn't dark enough. So I'm going to go in and pick an unlikely color. This is sort of a blue-green, and see if that will give me the darker color. And I won't know till I get a few more layers in. It looks like it might. We'll have to see. I'm not crazy about using a blue-green when I'm using olive. And this is counterintuitive to put more yellow in here, but it is a blue-green, and I'm not real thrilled. You know what? Let's try brown. I've got enough green down that I might be able to pull this off. And I've almost already got the paper saturated, so brown's not really going to be an issue. And I just keep working down at the base. Let's get that a little darker. And the brown seems to be working. The biggest problem I've got is I don't like the rest of the leaf. So let me get this dark down here. And then let's see what we can do with the rest of the leaf. I'm going back to my lighter green, which is... Okay, sorry about that. My camera decided that it was full. It's tired of working. So I had to go in and delete. And hopefully I didn't delete anything I'm going to need. I did a whole bunch of canvases yesterday, and those should get uploaded today. I actually uploaded 2 of them last night, but I haven't published them. It was late. I was tired. So I left them while they were uploading and went to sleep. Okay, that's coming along better. Don't know if you can really see that. And some of the brown, you know, I'll be honest, I'm not thrilled. I don't have, there we go. Try not to brush. If you got like pencil crumbs on your paper, try not to brush your hand over it. They do make some very soft brushes that you can get to brush off, but picking it up and tapping it will also work. I'm not terribly thrilled, honestly, with this leaf. It's not making me terribly happy, but you did get to see some blending. And I'll probably tweak the color. Well, no, I'll use the same colors over here to keep it consistent. But I'm hoping maybe this yellow will help me out a little bit. I don't want too much on the left side, but I do want a little bit there. And I do want to blend it on down. So again, I'm not really using pressure. I just keep going in. And there we go. I think I might call that done, because I'm not sure that I like the brown too much. I do like the green. I come back with my lighter green and just go in a little more. And you could sit here forever. As you can tell, I keep playing and keep playing and keep playing. So at some point you have to say, okay, I've got to move on. But generally I try to get the leaf or whatever I'm working on at least to the point that I can deal with it. And that's what I'm working on right now. I'm just trying to get this leaf somewhere where I can handle it. And it's so funny because I thought I was going to do the flowers in a crimson, and then the leaves were going to be in a this is not that blue-green now. The leaves were going to be in blue-greens, and I ended up with orange and olive, which is funny. It's very funny to me that that's how this ended up. Totally different than what I had expected. And that's really my fault. I just picked out the colors that, when I was going through, and when I realized I had mostly orange in my hand, I thought, maybe turquoise leaves, because I like that combination. No, olive. Orange and olive, but they do go well together, so. Okay, I've put enough layers on there that I've gotten to a point where I can deal with that leaf, and I'm not sure. The camera doesn't seem to be picking up that it actually does look kind of good, and I don't know if it's the light or what. But that's how you blend with pencils, and you get some nice shading when you're doing that. So I hope this was helpful. Later on I may do some coloring and blending with a medium instead of just a lighter color, but happy coloring. I'm back. It just hit me as I finished this other leaf, but as I started working on the flowers, I thought I'd bring up working on the flowers again. I'm using pretty much a limited, I keep my palette fairly limited. This is the color that I used out here, okay? And so I'm going to use it on the inside of the flower rather than coming in with a totally new color. I'm just going to come in with this, okay? And I've got a decision to make about this. This would be great, you know, doodle and do all kinds of different colors, but that's not really what I wanted to do. I may do that when I do a marker page. So I think what I'm going to, no, I'll probably do, but I don't know what I'll do there. I'll figure something. But the point is, I'm using a very limited palette, and I'm using the same colors kind of over and over again in a different way. So I wanted this orange that I used at the tips down at the base. And then I'm going to come in with that yellow ochre and sort of fill in the rest. Now I'll have to do some blending, but I used the yellow ochre in the leaves, and I'm probably going to use that color again at the very tip. So by keeping my color palette limited, I am keeping everything somewhat, what I say, harmonious. I don't have to worry about colors clashing because they're the same colors I used previously. So I'm just putting down a light shade of this yellow ochre, and it's not even an even coat. I'm not pressing. And I want to get that all over in each of the petals. Okay, so now obviously I'm not going to leave it like that, but I am going to come in with this blender color and put it at the very tip. I don't know if I like that. It's not really doing much. It's sort of a non-color. The idea was to keep it light up here, and maybe that will work. We'll see. Okay, so I'm going to come in with this color a little bit more. And because I've already laid some color down, it's not going to take as much. So, see, I'm getting a nice blend right in there. I don't know if you can... Ha! Excuse me. So I am getting a nice blend because I put that yellow ochre down. So when I come back with the orange, it can't be as intense as it is down at the base of the petals. And blend this one out a little bit more. And you know me, oops, I'm not sure I need to zoom back out a little bit so I can try to make sure I stay in camera. I'm sorry. And here we go. A little bit here. Now I'm not really trying to make this look three-dimensional. I'm just trying to get some nice blending in. You know, just I'm trying to make a pretty flower. That's about it. Okay, so another layer of this yellow ochre. Another layer. Blending into that orange now. Pulling it out. Again, blending into that orange, pulling it out a little bit. Intensifying the yellow ochre down here. And I kind of work on all of them at one time, as you see, because then I've got a point of reference. It's I can see how the flower's coming together, and there's consistency between the petals. I know that I've done the same thing on each one, otherwise I will lose track. My brain won't keep up with everything that I've done. And then I'm left wondering, oh, what do I do? What did I do here? What do I need to do? So putting in a more intense layer. Again, not pressing, just keep going over it. Okay. Now, I'm going to keep with this, though I'm not totally thrilled with it. I do really like the center of the flower. I think that's coming along nicely. And so I'm going to come in with this sort of non-color. And by saturating the paper with the non-color, it's going to keep me from being able to put down too heavy a layer of, say, the yellow ochre, because I'm going to come back with the yellow ochre again, and I will have already used up a lot of the tooth of the paper with this sort of non-color, so I won't be able to over saturate the paper with the yellow ochre, and the tips should stay lighter than the rest of that center. And that's the idea. So even though it doesn't look like I'm doing anything, I am putting color on that paper. Okay. Alright, to come back in with the yellow ochre and blend it. Nice and smooth. Just another nice light layer. And I noticed that this one didn't have as much color as the others. That's okay. Alright, now one last time I want to go in. I'm using my orange, and I'm just brightening up towards the base again. And again, there's so much color pencil down already that I really can't mess it up by getting it too dark, getting up too much color too high, or anything. It's going to stay. And be nice and soft and blended, which is what we're after. And then yellow ochre one last time. Blend it on out. Okay, so there I have it. And I'm so sorry I keep hitting the table and bouncing and jiggling it. But there's my flower, and by using a limited palette, it made sure that everything coordinated. And then really all I have to do is like the stem and figure out what I'm going to do for these back. I don't know if those are leaves or petals, so I'll have to work on that concept. But and then some color inside the pot itself. That's for that flower, not for the page. But anyway, just wanted to talk about working with a limited palette and making it work for you. Alright guys, bye.